UFC Qatar in the books. Going to be going through the card top to bottom, doing some matchmaking along the way. What I think could be next and what I think is next. I mean, obviously for Arman Tsarukyan, it's Ilia Topuria. But going to be going through the entire card. Give me your thoughts in the comments. And we're going to be getting into the 170-pound division. So go ahead and matchmake your 170-pound division from Makhachev, Morales, Shavkat. You can even include Sean Brady, but we're going to get to Ian Machado Garry and Belal. Remember the name Muhammad. But just going to go ahead and get into this card. Arman Tsarukyan, it was the performance that he needed. The performance that we expected almost. Going into this fight, Arman Tsarukyan just needed to get him down. Just throw elbows, make it an ugly fight. Get Dan in the clinch. Avoid the knees of Dan Hooker and avoid the teeps, man. The teeps was Dan Hooker's biggest weapon in this fight. Dan threw out a couple guillotines, but Arman was able to just wear on him and beat him up. I mean, quite honestly, it was the Arman that we expected, and the Arman that, just solidifies that he's going to be fighting Ilia Topuria in the near future. Just win. Dan Hooker, I don't know what you do with Dan Hooker next. Do you give him a contender? Do you give him another ranked guy? He's just one of those guys, man. He's just down to scrap, honestly. I think you could throw a name at Dan Hooker and he'll accept. As long as he's healthy, man. I mean, the broken hands has been an issue for him. Just get Dan Hooker in there again. Guess whoever. But after the UFC, though, man, I would love to see Dan Hooker in BKFC. I mean, he just brings violence, man, and he's always down to brawl. I think he's entertained it in the past, if I'm not wrong. But I'm just down to watch Dan Hooker scrap, man. I don't care about the record. I don't care about anything. Just let me see Dan Hooker fight, man. He's always entertaining when he gets in there. But Arman, just one of those guys, man. He does everything perfect. He does everything. He's just a textbook guy. And he lands significant strikes. He's good on the ground. He's good everywhere. Not many holes in his game, if any. Just good fighter. Like, quite honestly, just a really good fighter. Somebody that, if you're an up-and-comer, probably want to study this guy, man. Probably want to mimic how he trains. Probably want to mimic how he lives his daily life. If possible, man. I mean, I know that's the thing with his dad having all the money, man, and he's just able to train and sit back. But shout out Arman Tsarukyan, man. Ilia Topuria is definitely next for this guy. Just get him in the fight healthy. None of this pull-out last-minute stuff. Don't need to see another Renato Moicano fighting Islam Makhachev moment. But moving forward, we got Belal Muhammad. Remember the name. And I'm going to come out and say I think Ian Garry could be warranted with a title shot in this fight. I think it is justified, possibly. Now I'm going to back that up by saying find out what's going on with Shavkat Rakhmonov. That's the number one guy. I think you need to run Islam Makhachev Shavkat. I think that's a sellable fight. I think that is a fight that makes sense for both parties. Now, if you want to throw a name like Kamaru Usman at Islam Makhachev, I just don't think it makes sense given Usman's age and, the past performances. A Joaquin Buckley victory doesn't give you a title shot, in my opinion. It does not matter about what you've done. It matters about who's the best right now. And Usman, to me, is just not the best right now. Now, given if you make Michael Morales versus Kamaru Usman, if you make Carlos Prates versus Kamaru Usman, and Usman comes out and beats one of those guys, great. I mean, I think you could justify another title shot. But coming off a Joaquin Buckley victory just does not move that needle for me. Now, Ian Garry went ahead and beat Belal Muhammad, who is the training partner of Islam Makhachev and is historically, he's trained with Khabib, he's trained with Islam, he's trained with all the Nurmagomedovs. He's been in the camps with them. So, there's some storyline here. You got Ireland versus Russia. You got Khabib, Conor too. Just not on that level at all. But, there's something there, right? Ian Garry, he came out and looked really good against Belal. Going into the third round, I had it either 1-1 or 2-0 in favor of Ian Garry. And I think 30-27 is a justifiable scorecard. He looked really good in this fight. Belal, I do have questions about Belal's game plan sometime in these fights. Is he just trying to outstrike these guys? Is he trying to, just prove that he can strike with the best strikers? Because going back to the JDM fight, he was just down to stand and bang. And we just know that's not Belal Muhammad's best path to victory. And granted, he went for takedowns, but he didn't go for takedowns that were necessarily like he was really deep on a takedown. His game plan is a bit weird to me sometimes in that sense, right? It's like he can go for more shots. But I don't know if he's just trying to appeal to the fans' eye a bit more and prove that, he can strike with the best of the best. Don't know. But Ian Garry, he landed the more significant strikes. The teeps to the body, the oblique kicks, he landed a few nasty ones that really caught my eye. And I was like, man, these oblique kicks, man, they hurt. I mean, he's just stomping on the quad of Belal and just landed the really more significant strikes. Head kicks, in the clinch, landed some elbows, especially towards the end of the fight. I was really impressed by Ian Garry in this fight, though. I mean, he just looked really good all around. And the takedown defense, man, I mean, he defended all of Belal's takedowns. Look, 0 for 7 right here. I'm just down to see Ian Garry versus whoever at this point. I think it's tough, though, because you got the history of Ian Garry and Prates have already fought. Ian Garry, I mean, you can't really run him and Shavkat again if you give Morales a title shot. So I think, in my opinion, Islam Makhachev, Shavkat Rakhmonov, title fight. Granted, Shavkat's not healthy. You run Islam versus Ian Garry. And then Michael Morales versus Shavkat. Michael Morales versus Usman. There's something there. If you think Usman is a number 1 contender right now, run him versus whoever for a number 1 contender fight. It's just it's a weird division to matchmake for because after UFC 322, we had the title fight, and JDM, you could throw him back in there. You can't forget about the former champ. So you could run JDM versus Michael Morales. You could run JDM versus Sean Brady. I mean, there's some title fights to be made here. And it's a very weird division to matchmake for, but I would like to hear y'all's thoughts in the comments down below. I want to see y'all's matchmaking. Who do y'all think is next for Islam, Ian Garry, and even throw somebody like Usman, JDM, and Sean Brady, who we saw lose this past weekend. Who's next for Prates? Who's next for Michael Morales? There's a lot of movement at 170, so I want to hear y'all's thoughts down in the comments below. Go ahead and let me see y'all's fights predictions. But Volkan Oezdemir, he just countered Alonzo Menifield's head movement, found his shots when he got Menifield up against the cage and put his lights out. Sweet performance by Volkan. I was really impressed by him, and he's just one of those guys. Gatekeeper at 205, you got to beat somebody like Volkan if you want to get in that top 10. And he's been in the game for so long. He's done well for so long. And, I mean, he's just proven time and time again. You can't count him out. I mean, he's been around for so long. He's a seasoned vet. He knows what he's doing when he's in the cage, man. And shout out Volkan for another sweet performance. Orolbai, Jack Hermansson. Another weird fight right here, right? Because we got an 85er in Hermansson, and we got a 55er in Orolbai. Granted, Orolbai probably should have been at 170 a couple fights ago, but 170 is going to be his new home after this performance against Jack. Thought Hermansson could have presented some more troubles in, the grappling and submission, possibly getting Orolbai in a weird position, but Orolbai just looked good on the feet, heavier striker, cleaner striker, and, just put Jack's lights out, man. Waldo Cortes-Acosta. Man, what a performance. He was eating cheeseburgers a couple days ago. Now he's fighting Shamil Gaziev for no reason, as Cortes-Acosta is the number 6 heavyweight. Gaziev is not in the top 10. There was no incentive to take this fight. And everybody's saying he's just taking this for the love of the game. I love it, man. Activity and just stepping up on short notice. Deliver a sweet performance, collect your check and dip. What do you do for him next? I think Waldo Cortes-Acosta, if he fights in December, if somebody like Curtis Blades or somebody is down to fight in December, and Waldo Cortes-Acosta comes out and puts his lights out, you have somebody that you could give a title shot to just because of activity, just because of him stepping up and delivering performances. Now, granted, like Shamil Gaziev, not in the top 10, but he's a good enough fighter to where people are going to respect this knockout. I think for Waldo, he's doing everything right now, and he got off kind of on a weird foot to some of the MMA fans when he first got in the UFC. But activity and delivering knockouts like this really changes that tide around your name. So for Waldo, I really think if you get a fight in December, if not, I mean, you don't need to fight. You've already fought enough this year. You didn't need to take this fight for one. And you did, and you flew across the world to Qatar and deliver a sweet knockout. Great performance out of him. December, early next year. Get him in there with the top 5 heavyweight. And, I don't know if you run the Sergey fight back. I don't know. It's a weird situation right there. Pavlovich, Volkov at the top. You got the weird stuff going on with Gane and Aspinall. Jones isn't really worth talking about right now. So, I don't know what you do with Waldo, but there's definitely some fights to be made for him. Seeing Horiguchi back in the UFC was so sweet, dude. He hasn't fought in the UFC, I think, since November of 2016 is what I had pulled up right here. And I had to really look back at this because that's a long time away from the UFC. And to come in and beat a top 10 guy in the UFC after so long away, just fighting in Bellator and Rizin, insane performance out of him. Dominated Ulanbekov. So, at 35, coming back in the UFC and delivering a performance like this, that was really sweet to see. Really impressed by him. See what's next for him. Not really too sure at 125. He's going to be fighting a top 10 guy. Maybe get him in there with a Brandon Moreno or something. Switch it up a little bit. See what's going on with Brandon Royval and Manel Kape. I think that's the last card of the year. But moving forward, we got Luke Riley, man. What a sweet left hook KO. Just puts Grad's lights out. Insane performance coming out in round 2 early in the round and just delivering a bomb of a hook. Great performance out of him. And a weird one right here, right? Nicholas Dalby. Split decision win over Islam Makhachev's teammate. And, I just respect Nicholas Dalby because as an older guy, at 41 I think he is, to just come out and deliver a performance and get a victory over a Russian prospect, just insane stuff and really just fun to see, honestly. I know some people probably hate it. Some people probably hated this fight. But I can just respect an old lad at 41 to just get in the cage. So, shout out Nicholas Dalby for getting in there. Alex Perez was beating Almabayev, and he loses in round 3. That's the kind of the case of this fight. Alex Perez has just had an interesting UFC career. Almabayev, 125 is an interesting division, man. You just see, I don't know, man. If you're not at the top at 125, it just seems like 125, the top of the division, has stayed the same for so long, to where you see matchups like this against Alex Perez and Almabayev. It's like, are either of these guys really going to crack that top 5? And granted, Perez has fought for a belt. Almabayev is working towards fighting for a belt. He gets the victory that he needed over Alex Perez. It's just, man, at 125 is just, you have to take some of these fights with a grain of salt because as sweet of a performance, and I love watching the flyweight division. I'm a huge advocate for flyweights. I think the skill level and the technical ability of the lighter weight classes is just really fun to see. And the speed of these guys, it's just, are they going to be able to beat a Pantoja, a Josh Van, a Brandon Royval, a Brandon Moreno? Like, these names have just, and granted, outside of Josh Van, the other 3 names that I just listed, those guys have been at the top of that division for so long. So, can a guy like Almabayev present trouble to one of these top guys? That's going to be seen. You needed to beat Alex Perez to get a fight like that, but losing those first 2 rounds to Perez is like, man, do you really belong at the top of this division? But good performance out of him. Man, Abdul Rakhman. Insane performance out of Abdul Rakhman. Not too sure how to pronounce this guy's last name. Yakhyaev, I want to say. Might have butchered that. But insane performance. I go back and watch this finish. I've probably watched it at least 20 times. Because it was such a sweet combo that dropped him. It was a wheel kick to a left hook to a right hand to a left high kick that set him down. And then just finishes the fight with ground and pound and a rear naked choke. Like, this performance was so sweet for me to watch, and I've gone back and just rewatched it. Just because it was a sweet combo, fluid striking, and a sweet sub over a Brazilian guy. Loved it. Other guy just didn't stand a chance in there, man. And the odds clearly state that he didn't have a chance at minus 3,000. You don't see that much. But I think I'm going to talk about this with Alexander Topuria, who we're going to be talking about later, and some of these other guys, is at 8-0, a 30-second finish. You just need octagon experience. You need competition, and you need to be in there with some seasoned guys who have fought, and they're going to give you some cage time. And I think a 30-second finish, against the top light heavyweights, you're not going to be able to have a performance like this necessarily. And maybe he will. But at 8-0, just need to get the octagon experience up is all. And speaking of Alexander Topuria, he's looking more like Ilia every time he steps in the octagon. And it is really cool to see, because the little details from head movement to wrestling details to entries on takedowns it's Ilia Topuria to a T almost. I mean, we have bantamweight Ilia right here. If he can just keep getting the octagon experience, he's going to be a problem for 135ers. And I think it's just one of those things, cage time. Just keep seeing this guy in there. Get him another fight in 3 to 4 months maybe. Early next year possibly. Maybe same card as Ilia. Get them both in training camp together. I don't think, if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, but I do think Ilia and Alexander, they don't get in training camp at the same time, for the sense that Alexander helps Ilia in his camp, vice versa, Ilia's helping Alexander. It's probably the best way to do it, right? When Alexander's getting ready for a fight, have Ilia helping him, vice versa. Ilia's getting ready to fight Arman Tsarukyan, keep Alexander fresh, sparring partners, keeping him sharp on the feet. I mean, just really sweet to see another Topuria, and it's just really weird to see how they fight very similar. But great victory out of Alexander Topuria. Ismail Naurdiev, insane finish right here. Had to go back and watch this one. I missed this fight. I only missed this fight because the knockout was so quick, for one. And 3 out of 6 strikes, it was a one-punch knockout, and it was a walk-off knockout, for one. And it was just a right hand down the middle. Had to go back and watch this knockout because I missed it. Fight ended too quick, but that's what you need sometimes. It's honestly just a one-punch knockout. Get in, get out, collect your check, and dip. Love that. Love the performance. Nurullo and Shamrock. I think for Shamrock is just one of these English guys, man, that just have a chin that you can't put him out. And Nurullo looked really good on the feet, landed the more significant strikes that were possibly fight-changing. And Nurullo just everywhere on the feet. Looked really improved. And loved this performance out of him. I think that was the general consensus, was just the improvement on the feet. And the odds makers definitely saw that at minus 320. But moving forward for him, I think lightweight, bro, you just have these guys that just pop out of nowhere at 155, and they just deliver sweet performances. And you're like, man, the level at 155 is just a bit up here compared to a lot of other divisions, especially coming up just because of the prospects that they have. And then kicking the card off, Denzel Freeman gets a unanimous decision victory. I think my thing with heavyweights is you have a chance here to open up a card as a heavyweight, set the tone for the night, and you come out and deliver almost like a dud of a performance. Not really too much to talk about in this fight, but Denzel gets a victory. Possibly both men cut, but we'll see what goes on there. But UFC Qatar in the books. I want to hear y'all's thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Had Arman Tsarukyan, had Dan Hooker. What do y'all think is next for Dan Hooker? Tsarukyan, I think we know Ilia. And at 170, man, we have Ian Gary, Belal Muhammad. What's going on there? Do you put Belal against who? Ian Gary? Is he getting Islam Makhachev? Is he going to get a Michael Morales? What do y'all think is next for the 170-pound division? A lot going on there. I've really enjoyed making MMA content, though, so if y'all would, like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever y'all have to do. Check out all my socials in the bio, in the description below. And stay tuned for the next one. See what we got next week going on. UFC 323. Got December 6th, so we got a week off from the UFC. And then coming back December 6th with Marab and Peter Yan, Alexandra Pantoja, Josh Van, Brandon Moreno, Tatsuro Taira. So speaking about the flyweights, we got Brandon and Tatsuro Taira, Henry Cejudo, Peyton Talbot, Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Grad. This is going to be a really sweet card top to bottom. Grant Dawson getting back in there, Terrence McKinney, Chris Duncan, Macy Barber going against the Silva. And we got some sweet Marlon Santos. I feel like I remember watching him. Possibly a Contender Series guy. Edson Barbosa, Jalen Turner. That's a random one. Vittori versus Bruno Ferreira. But yeah, we got some good fights coming up, man. And December 6th is going to be a really sweet card. Excited to cover that one. If y'all did enjoy, though, like, comment, share. Check out all the links in the description. I'll see y'all later. Peace.